Good evening. Everybody's still with me? Let me say to our future Prime Minister, in the next coming weeks, we will go to King's House for the swearing in of Mark Jefferson Golden as the Prime Minister of Jamaica. My colleagues on the platform, brothers and sisters, greetings. Agriculture, the forgotten child in the family. Agriculture is the main employer of labor in Jamaica. Currently, we have 262,000 registered farmers in Jamaica. It is on record the largest employer of labor. And of the economic activities that we do, especially in rural Jamaica, agriculture is responsible for 80% of it. Either people who directly practice in agriculture or people who run the cook shop, they do the different things, but they rely on the produce from the farmers. Agriculture is an important area for us to focus on. And you would have heard the leader earlier when he spoke that one of the first things that we need to do is to stop taking the arable lands in the country and using them for other purpose other than for agriculture. And that is a commitment of a future People's National Party government. In terms of making land available to people as well, we do not believe that we should continue in a situation where you have grown to see father and grandfather and mother and grandmother farming in a little square with pickaxe and machete and those other things, and they're dirty and they're still in poverty. So what we want to do is to look at an inventory of all the arable lands in the country and then to see how we can make leaseholds available to farmers so you can lease a good plot up to 5 acres of land and go out there and produce to feed our nation. A few years ago we did agri-parks, and in Manchester there's the Duff House agri-park that is here. And when we developed the agri-parks, what we intended from it was to increase local production of some of these items that are produced in the agri-parks. Currently, we have 1,950 hectares of land in the agri-parks, but this government only has 30% of that under production. These agri-parks have in the infrastructure, they have road, they have drainage, they have water, yet still only 30% of the land in the agri-parks are currently being used for any form of production. That is the clearest indication that this current administration has no interest in local agriculture. That has led to them importing, which is now detrimental to our local farmers. If we look at the country's importation bill, when we left office in 2016, we were importing $834 million worth of farm produce into the country. Last year, the import bill went up to $1.6 billion, almost a 100% increase over the last 9 years under this administration. They have absolutely no interest in supporting local agriculture. We later learned that former members of parliament of that side are given import licenses to bring in onions when they have never planted anything for a day in their life. So we have said, when we look at the maths, we realize that when you import food, and don't let them fool you that it is the price of the goods that has gone up that has caused the increase, because the increase in the tonnage is roughly the same. We have looked at the numbers and we have realized that when we import those items, you pay tariff, yes? And who didn't know what that was, you know now since Brother Trump is elsewhere. And from those tariff and stamp duties, we have collected on average 707 million US dollars over the last 10 years. We are going to take 2.5% of that to put into a dedicated fund for agriculture. Health as the National Health Fund. Tourism as the Tourism Enhancement Fund. Technology as the Universal Service Fund. Our farmers will have the Agricultural Development Fund with a specialized fund that is geared towards our farmers. And because our leader knows that agriculture is so vital to our people, he has said that when we put that fund together, we must ensure that a percentage of it goes to the PC bank so that we can give loans to our farmers so they can go out there and produce. We will also ensure that we protect our farmers against the vagaries of weather. Different things that happen, rain and storm and drought and all of those things. Every other business that you operate in, they have some form of insurance. Our farmers are left out there on their own. Storm come, drought come, they lose everything. We want to put a percentage of it, which will not be only funded by us. This has to take input as well from the farmers themselves, but to ensure that some insurance is in place so that you do not lose everything, but you can start over should you suffer from any of these disasters. A vital thing that we need to look at as well is the issue of land preparation. You're not going to attract as many persons to come and work on your farm as we were able to do 10, 15, 20 years ago. And additionally, we need to adapt with time. And so, what we are going to do is to look at the heavy production areas, and we are going to ensure that we buy the heavy-duty equipment and put them in those areas so that the farmers can get assistance with land preparation. So the Irish potato farmers up in Devon, in northeast Manchester, will be able to get some help with land preparation. The next issue that we want to look at is the infrastructure. The infrastructure. We are going to put more attention on farm roads. When you ask the next PNP government for assistance with farm road to get to your farm, we will not offer you a donkey nor a mule. We are going to ensure that we build farm roads so you can get to your farm and take out your produce from your farm. In the area of irrigation, in Jamaica, we have 120,000 hectares of arable land, land that is suitable for farming. Only 15% of it is currently under irrigation. Whenever anybody talks about it, the minister loves to jump up and say what he's doing in the southern plains of Clarendon or for Essex Valley, not taking note of the fact that it was the National Irrigation Development Plan of the PNP from 1998 that outlined the 51 schemes that we are to build across Jamaica, and that they have been tardy in building out those. So we are going to put a special unit in the ministry that is their only duty to complete the implementation of the National Irrigation Development Plan. It is our desire in our first term in office to move the percentage of land that is under irrigation up to 25%. It is an ambitious target, but we are people who were born with ambition. We will also look at how we can create other systems. Michael Manley was on to something from in the 70s of microdams. We're talking about ponds as well. From the Agricultural Development Fund, we'll be able to help farmers to dig ponds in the different areas, and for them to be able to get pond liners if it is not clay, and then get the necessary irrigation pumps so that they can get irrigation on their farms. So whereas in Duffos, Peterby in South Manchester, they can grow scallion and thyme because they have good irrigation. The other areas in South Manchester needs to benefit from irrigation as well so that they can have good produce. In the area of storage, in Jamaica, after taking on all the risk and finish producing your things and you harvest it, you reap it, people still lose 30% of their produce because of a lack of storage. 30%. And that's at the farm gate. Because by the time you take it to the market, and you take it to the house, the post-harvest loss in Jamaica is over 50%. But at the farm gate, you lose 30% of what you produce because we do not have sufficient storage. It is obviously sensible to look at the country and do an inventory and see where we can build out proper storage facility. They're doing a storage facility in Southeast St. Elizabeth now, but that's not enough. We believe that in the heavy production belts, we believe that you can put a 40-foot container that is solarized in those areas and allow the farmers to have temporary access to somewhere that they can store their produce whilst we do the inventory and build out the storage. Because when you produce, you should not be forced to sell your produce for what left, for little than nothing, because there's a glut on the market or you don't have storage. You should be able to store it, and when the price is right, you can sell it and make adequate returns so you can take care of your loved ones. In the area of praedial larceny, we want to put praedial larceny under the Proceeds of Crime Act so that when somebody steals from you and they are convicted of stealing, then the courts can give the order for us to liquidate what they have so we can return the farmer to the state they were in before the thief came into their life. It should not continue where you have your 25 goats and a man come and thief your 25 goats and then get a suspended sentence. That man that thief your 25 goat, if the markets him have, let us sell the markets and buy back the 25 goats to give to the farmer. We also want to look at a proper agriculture management system. In 2025, it ought not to be that the Minister of Agriculture cannot wake up in the morning and know how much Irish we have in Huntley under production in northwest Manchester, or how much escallion we have over in Duffhouse, or how much sweet potato we have, or yam we have up in Craighead. We ought to know what we have growing in banana grown in central Manchester. The Minister of Agriculture is to know what is under production, when it will come to maturity, and what will be the expected yield. That way we can plan and control the permits so that we do not allow permits when our local farmers have produced the items. That management system should also link into the hotels and to other final distributors of the items so they can see what is out there and they can make their arrangements with the farmer. Currently, people sit in the middleman, and they earn all the money. The farmer goes out there and produces an item. They come to the farm, him take all the risk of the rain mashing it up, of people thieving it, of people, animal coming over there, of pests, disease, all sorts of things. When the item comes, he gets $40 per pound at the farm gate. You go to one of the supermarket chain and you see the same item I sell for $160 a pound. Because somebody came, bought it from you for $40, carried it there and sold it for $100, so they made $60, and then the supermarket sell it for $160, so they're making $60 a pound as well. And the farmer that did all the work only made $40, and they put in all the input into it. We want to put the farmer directly in touch with the final distributor so you can get value for your hard work. The school feeding program that the leader spoke about, that we want to provide a warm meal to every needy child that is in school. That will see PNP, next PNP government spending $9 billion more than the current school feeding program. That school feeding program, what we want the schools to do is to give us the menu for the entire semester. My son goes to a prep school and I know on July 5 what are the options for his lunch. We want the schools to give us the menu. And then once we know what the items that are needed, we will know that we are going to need 500 pounds of pumpkin, 400 pounds of Irish. We will then meet with the farmers, send them to produce, and they will have a guaranteed market to sell their produce into the school feeding program. That $9 billion will be spent with our local farmers. We want to put forward as well our SMART program, Sustainable Management of Agriculture through Research and Technology. It is time for us to incorporate technology into what we are doing. 20 years ago, nobody knew what this was because it didn't exist. Now we can't live without it. Everybody in here has checked this at least one time since evening. We must incorporate technology into what we're doing. We must use drones to spray, to fertilize. We must use hydroponic systems to grow. And let me give you a little example. A hydroponic system just the size of this hall. I can set up a 5,000 plant hydroponic system the size of this hall. And if I'm growing lettuce, it is going to take me 4 to 6 weeks for it to mature in the hydroponic system. It would have taken 10 weeks in the soil. If I decide that I want to have some to sell every week, let me use 4 to 6 or let me use 5 weeks. I am going to plant 500 every week so that in a 5-week period, I'll get to my 2,500. If each lettuce gets to 1 pound and I can sell it for $250 per pound, it means that I would have 500 by 250, which is what that? $125,000 that I would make per week. Times 4, that's $500,000 that I would have made for the month. Way more than people are making in school as teacher, in hotels, in BPOs, and all of these sectors. And hydroponics is hot boy and hot girl farming, you know. It's hot boy and hot girl farming, you know. You can do it with your nails. Yes? There's no soil involved because you really only need 3 things for crops to grow. Water, sunlight, nutrients. So what we want to do is to be able to assist especially our young people for them to be able to acquire these systems and go into production. The next PNP government after 2 to 3 years should be able to identify how much Irish potato we consume, how much onion we consume, how much lettuce we consume, and we should be able to grow enough to satisfy the demand that is there and become self-sufficient in the production of those items. We want to also look at an agriculture-free zone, locating it in the special economic zone with export-led production. There are several items that we have a competitive advantage in, that people are clamoring for it anywhere in the world, especially our spices, ginger, turmeric, pimento, nutmeg, those items. And also some of the items that we can grow in orchards, breadfruit, ackee, mango, avocado. Those are things that we can put our people to produce and they can become rich. This is not fake prosperity. 1 acre of ackee can make you $2 million per year. 1 acre. And the international demand that is there, we cannot produce enough to satisfy it right now. So if you put 10 acres of ackee in an orchard, you can make $20 million per year. Agriculture is what we are going to use to take our people out of poverty. We want to also look at value added and going further along the value chain. Agro-processing. We need to be able to develop the appropriate spaces for agro-processing. It can't be that in mango season we have mango for stone, man and dog, and then outside of mango season you can't find a mango for the love of God. It has to be that we can put something in place so we do not have waste when the thing is in season and we can produce enough. Our students that are in school should not be drinking these heavy sugar drink. Like when I didn't have to drink them juice, I eat my sugar bun when I go to school. Because right after lunch is niggeritis used to set in. We need to be able to produce some of these fruit juices to go into the school feeding program. So agro-processing has to be a priority for the next People's National Party government. And finally, markets and marketing. We need to ensure that when our farmers produce, they can actually sell their produce with dignity. Pace that is clean, appropriate, and fitting for the hard work that they have put into doing what they're doing. Additionally, it cannot be that we are able to stay in Jamaica and order an item in China, Shein, and all of these things. But we can't stay in Jamaica and buy 5 pounds of lettuce and 5 pounds of Irish from a farmer that is in Jamaica. We have to use the technology to ensure that we can put the farmers in place with the consumers. So markets and marketing will also be a priority of the next People's National Party government. I will leave it at that because the night is far spent and I do not want you to fall asleep. I know you're not falling asleep because you hear about the money, you hear them open so. But I will leave it at that, and we'll be happy to take your questions. But just remember, there is wealth in the soil, and we are going to use agriculture to ensure that the majority of the people in this country can earn a decent living and take care of their families. God bless you. Have a good evening.